Hello, everyone. Good morning, evening, or afternoon. Welcome to our global webinar. It is so exciting to be here with you all today. My name is Sofia. I'm going to be your moderator today, your host for the entire event. I am from Spain. I'm the Millennium Fellow from class 2025, and I'm also the campus director of Universidad Intercontinental de la Empresa. My project is focused on SDG 3. Especially, we are battling loneliness on care homes and improving the mental health of our elders. And now that you have met me and know a little bit more about me, I would love to meet you. So make sure to go ahead, say your name, university, where you're from, what SDE you are focusing on your project. Feel free to tap it on the chat. And if you have the opportunity to introduce yourself in live, go ahead, raise your hand, and we will call on you. I see that we have people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Uganda. Amazing. I see that we have a raised hand from Jonathan. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. We have more people from Nigeria, Zambia. Oh my goodness, this is amazing to see everyone. Can we hear Jonathan or can we not? Yeah, amazing. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Munyenyembe from Zambia and I'm the campus director for Copperbelt University. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited to be part of this global webinar. Can't wait to hear more about the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. I don't know if we have any more raised hands, but I see more people joining from all over the world. United States, we have India again. Amazing. It's so exciting to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's wonderful that you have met me and we have met some of you. So I would like to go ahead and introduce our speaker of the day. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. So Kay Von Mérey is the co-founder and president of the Circle of Young Humanitarians and a double degree graduate student in international management and international relations at the University of St. Gallen. She has volunteered with the Australian Red Cross and in a hospital in Ecuador, complete an internship at the ICRC, and gain experience in both startups and banking, which I find absolutely amazing. She was selected as a St. Gallen Symposium Leader of Tomorrow in recognition of her commitment to humanitarian actions and youth engagement. And her work reflects a deep commitment to community impact, youth leadership, and innovative approach to humanitarian actions. So now I would love to Kay, to start over. The floor is yours. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And thank you so much for having me and everyone, well, for your attention. Very exciting to be able to talk to you. And yeah, I'm very much in awe of this Millennium Fellowship, so important. And yeah, I think with that, I would love to jump right in. Let me quickly share my screen. All right, can you see it? Perfect. All right, so I am today telling you more about the Circle of Young Humanitarians, and with that also about my journey and about youth engagement and humanitarian action. So basically, Circle of Young Humanitarians tries to build bridges between humanitarian worlds and the younger generation around the globe. On the left-hand side, you see data from the Uppsala Conflict Data Program, which basically measures the amount of conflict around the world since the end of the Second World War. And as we can see, since the last peak of amount of conflicts, 2023 and 2024 have been the most conflict-ridden years since the end of the Cold War. And 2025 as we all know, it doesn't look any better at all. And as Paul Post, an associate professor of the University of Chicago, has put it, not a world war, but a world at war. Now, what we recognized has changed since this last increase of amount or peak of amount of conflicts here is that now we not only have this, dramatic physical and psychological sphere of conflict, but in today's world, we also have the digital one. What do I mean with that? Basically that also people in places who are maybe like not directly affected by conflict, but like I would say now privileged places such as Switzerland, where I am personally living in, get in touch with these realities a lot more and get confronted with it on a daily basis. You basically open up your phone and see social media and see all those pictures and videos of the horrors of war and different crises, right? So while I was working for the International Committee of the Red Cross, I came a lot onto this study, which basically looked into what young people think about war today. And the former president of the International Committee of the Red Cross has said, what young people think about war today could give insight into the direction of the world in the future. And what else it addressed or looked into, or what it found basically was that one of the most common nominators of those young people who were interviewed, 16,900 young people from all around the world, was that they were afraid that they will experience a third world war during their lifetime. At the same time, so many young people actually wish and desire peace. And I'm sure that this is actually not a new phenomenon. I think also older generations, also our parents wished for that. However, what is new today is this whole sphere of mistrust of this, anyways, that how the world is changing, right? And this fear of misinformation, disinformation, and not really knowing what to trust anymore. And this feeling of helplessness, this feeling of being disempowered. So many young people maybe ask themselves, what can I do? If you're, should I donate or should I volunteer my time? But does actually something happen? And the more online you are, it increases polarization. Sometimes it even leads to increased mental health issues and so on and so forth. And anyways, maximizing online engagement leads to increased polarization. So basically what we do is we take this humanitarian world and its humanitarian principles, its humanitarian values, and say, hey, in such a multipolar, fragmented world, can't it be serving as a moral compass, as a way of navigating ethical dilemmas, guiding professional and personal decision-making in such a, again, polarized world? And can't we, through that, help everyone to unlock their inner humanitarian? Because we deeply believe that everybody has an inner humanitarian. We have to unlock it if you want to be idealistic. And how do we do it? We build a bridge between the next generation and the humanitarian worlds. Taking it one step back. So again, I'm Kai, like Sophia already introduced me, but here, to make it, you asked me to make it more personal, so I tell you how it weaves in. So basically, this was my first day at the International Committee of the Red Cross in Geneva, and it's been quite a dream for a while to work for this International Committee of the Red Cross. And just to give you some context to maybe for people who don't know as much about it, I think many of you know about the Red Cross or Red Crescent. The ICRC, of course, it belongs to the same movement. However, the ICRC has this specific mandate of course, I believe everybody knows about it, but still to give very shortly some background. So it was initiated by Henri Dunant, who was on its way to meet Napoleon in 1859. He came across this battlefield of Solferino where he saw so many people lying half dead, and he basically wanted to help the people. Nevertheless, he didn't look out on which side they were, but they just he just wanted to help basically wounded soldiers. And that was basically the birth or the idea which really started this whole movement, or the whole humanitarian thought, right? Or like really that led to the Geneva Conventions, which is today the most universally accepted treaty in the world, and really lays the ground for the whole international humanitarian law. Now, we all know, if we look into the media, they're not upheld enough. And that's exactly why we are also making us basically strong for these rules. I mean, I don't know if you see it in my background, civilians must be protected. It's the law. Like, this is, what we stand up for. And so the rules of war mentioned, and the rules of war mentioned the ICRC as the guardian of the international humanitarian law. And this basically enables the presence around the world. And they always work then with the National Red Crosses and Red Crescents. So basically, I used to work for this ICRC, and that's when I had the idea of creating a space where young people can get in touch more, where people can get empowered. And I'll tell you more in a second about the circle. And I told 2 friends about it, and together we then launched a first event where we basically gave young people the chance to talk directly to people who were like working for this ICRC, who were in the war zones, either affected by conflict themselves, or who worked for those humanitarian organizations, and sharing insights and sharing what we can do basically to support their cause. And that was basically like a screenshot of the very first event, because the ICRC back then asked us, okay, well, if you think there is an interest in that, then I mean, they would like to support it, but first proof if there's really interest. And we organized this online event, and then like over 200 people joined the first call. So they were like, okay, there is interest. So that's why I put this screenshot in. So to make it more practical, what is this whole circle about? So the Circle of Young Humanitarians serves as a platform where young people can come together, engage with, get involved, connect and learn with the humanitarian world. And through these efforts, the circle tries to transcend this disempowered state, this feeling of helplessness, into a sense of agency, where you believe your own actions can inspire change, because we believe there's like no too small act of humanity. Like if everybody contributes, we would be in a different world today. So we are a non-profit, legally independent. So even though we were like founded with the support of the ICRC, we're legally independent, politically neutral, of course, in the humanitarian sphere, non-religious, based in Zurich. And today we have over 70 people who dedicate their time on a voluntary basis. At the moment, I'm the only one who's able to do it on a full-time basis. So it's absolutely incredible with what all these people do and how they contribute. And so how do we like fit into this whole ecosystem? So we're the only youth organization which is directly supported by the ICRC. And we really understand us as a complementary organization, like complementary to what these humanitarian organizations are doing around the world, right? We say that in a world where there's also this digital sphere of war that I showed in the beginning, those 3 dimensions, right? We also need a digital, like we also need a humanitarian dialogue in a world, in places where there's a socioeconomically stable regions. We need to address young people's views also there, and make them care about the rules of war, the international humanitarian law, and so on. And that brings me to one of the most important hypotheses, basically the interdisciplinarity. So what we basically say is, hey, you don't have to become an aid worker or a humanitarian aid worker who goes into the field or so. Like literally every profession is needed. Everyone can contribute to a more humane world. And that's exactly what we need. We need so many different professions who want to contribute somehow. And we like have those 3 pillars: educate, exchange, engage. And that's how we really focus on this theory of change. So very briefly, here's this empowerment that I was talking about, this feeling of helplessness, and here the self-agency, that people basically, again, have the feeling that their own actions can inspire change, that they are empowered. How do we do it, and what do we mean with that? So from disempowerment to awareness, basically over our Instagram, we have a podcast and so on. We make people aware of the different humanitarian organizations, but also different humanitarian principles, for example. From awareness to understanding, here we mean the difference that people are not only aware that the humanitarian principle of neutrality exists, as an example, but that they also understand why it is relevant. Why does an ICRC have to talk to both parties of a conflict, for example? And then internalization, connection, trust. This really plays into the exchange pillar. We create a space where young people get in touch with humanitarian delegates and people who have been affected by crisis, conflict themselves, and really foster this dialogue and basically give a chance to get in touch with these realities that you often only see on your phones again. So this real world connection, and that often like changes something within the people, and that then leads to, well, empowerment. And we saw that quite often. To make it more concrete, we have like different event formats. Like I'm going through that quite fast here, just to give you an idea. Here, together with Doctors Without Borders, we organized an awareness raising campaign about Ebola, that people know what it is about, how Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières work, a lot of panel discussions, giving a space for people to get active as well, and so on. And then here, I'd like to mention the Young Humanitarian Summit, because that is something that this is basically our biggest, well, our flagship event. And it will be the first time held hybrid next March 2026. So mark your calendars if you would be, if you wanna join. It's the last March weekend, basically. I think 26th until 28th of March 2026. And normally we had it is a 2.5 day event, over 300 participants. So until now, it was always in Switzerland. And now it's the first time. I'm telling you about it in a second. Also held online, and there's a lot of information. But again, here, we just really want to show this humanitarian world. So there were speakers such as Pierre Krenwil, who is the Director General of the ICRC, or Alex Kühni, who is a war photographer. But then also having someone as a Christian Jungen. So if you focus on him, basically his day-to-day job, he is the artistic director of the Zurich Film Festival. He has the coolest job ever, he always says. He watches movies every day and decides then which movie will be screened in the in the film festival. So that's his job description. And he said that he talked on the panel Art and Humanitarian World. So he talked about movies, how important they are for empathy, because it is that medium of being able to really put yourself into the shoes of the people, because you see through the movies, you connect in a different way. So again, showing this interdisciplinarity of the humanitarian world. There were always a lot of partners. Here you see our main partner, the International Committee of the Red Cross, Humanitarian Gold Partner, Médecins Sans Frontières, but also a lot of other summit partners, such as UNHCR has been one, UNICEF, the Swiss Red Cross, and so on. And now this is our upcoming Young Humanitarian Summit. I'm happy to share the dates afterwards. I realized I didn't put them here. Basically, it's the working title still, but it's going to be about the future of humanitarianism, reclaiming hope in today's world, because we desperately need it. And the humanitarian world, there are so many changes happening, and it's desperately needed. And we have a lot of people from all around the world also contributing and being speakers. And I love that about being able to be hybrid, that we not only have people who have to travel to Switzerland, but actually having voices from all around the world, again, which is so needed. So hopefully seeing a few of you there. Happy to give you more information about that afterwards. And I could tell you a lot more about the many different things that we're doing, from podcasts to awareness raising campaigns. We have an incredible community. Here you see the whole team. So we've grown quite a bit. We're now 70 people. So if anyone is interested to joining our mission, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's also always very, yeah, it's amazing to have people, again, from all around the world joining the mission, because we're mainly working online. We have an incredible advisory board, which is also something, if you ever want to start your own thing, or like, yeah, which is so helpful, having those mentors, even though we're like really youth driven, basically. They're just, yeah, they have been on this earth for a longer time, so they have more experiences. So it's really helpful to have them on board. And yeah, like maybe one last thing from the offering that I would like to highlight is something quite exciting. We are able to, or we've been able to launch a course, a master's course actually, for the University of St. Gallen, a business university in Switzerland, which is called Humanitarian World and International Management Context. So basically, humanitarian principles in the corporate context. It is about, again, bringing this humanitarian thinking now into business. So it's along these lines of really trying to bring humanitarian thinking into everywhere, like into all the different sectors, into all the different professions, and making it relevant again. And yeah, looking back on those 4 years of the Circle of Young Humanitarians and this whole journey, we of course ask ourselves, what is the impact that we basically bring? And we often are asked to quantify it, even though I don't think this is where the whole like impact lies, but still, like, there are sometimes the numbers that we're asked of, where we've reached like over 5,000 young participants and so on. And then, yeah, like have like had over 100 partnerships, incredible amount of hours of voluntary work and so on. Also, there is like an external recognition, like we've been featured a few times in the Swiss media. Then like we were asked for speeches and master theses and so on and so forth, which is also all, of course, beautiful, and it basically shows that there is a need in what we are for what we're doing. However, we all don't do it for the last two reasons. However, we do it because we deeply believe that, yeah, we believe in this basically transformative impact, the so-called circle spillover effect. So basically that one gets in touch with this humanitarian world, with these humanitarian organizations, with these people and these stories, and that it has a transformative effect on one, like that one gets in touch and then carries that into their own communities, into their own profession, into their own families, however. But we've seen it so often, like that people get in touch first with us, being it through an event, a podcast, a course, and that often then leads to like them sharing their experience with their personal network or so. And that then often leads to taking action. And here, like, that is one of the most important points. Taking action here is not meaning only donating or volunteering, because, yeah, young people anyways don't really have the time or money, but it leads to deciding a bit different, initiating something. Like, yeah, I'm going to show you a few of the stories we've seen and captured. So, I know you know her. She was here like a few weeks ago, and I'm allowed, like, I will tell you more about it in a second. So basically, Jessica, like, she's one of my co-founders. She's now a journalist for the Neue Zürcher Zeitung. So that is basically one of the biggest newspapers in Switzerland. And she says that through her work with this with the Circle of Young Humanitarians, she now really like writes different. It really influenced her writing. And through that, she influences, again, the opinions of millions of readers. So that's like how indirect we see that. Or Lea, who has like co-initiated this course for the University of St. Gallen. So again, bringing humanitarian thinking into business. Zoya, whom I think many of you have met, who is an absolutely incredible human being, who said she, like, the Circle and the Young Humanitarian Summit, where she spoke last year or so this year, she said that it gave her so much hope, and she's so thankful, and through that now has gained another community in Switzerland. Ambar, who is a teacher and now starts a course on humanitarian values for her 10-year-olds. So it's like, yeah, we see like those stories and different things happening and unraveling all around the world, and we just hope to see more of that. And then I would like to conclude with these last 2 slides. So basically we have the founding phase you see here. This is basically, we have ended that professionalization phase. We have realized that like all of this just takes a lot of time. So it was never the idea that this should be a full-time job. It just should have been like something next to the studies or so, but it took more and more and more time. We realized, oof, we need a few people who work on that on a full-time basis, and it should always stay volunteer driven. And yeah, we have now just launched a team in Geneva. So being close to those international humanitarian organizations, also a hub there. And yeah, from that, we really want to take it international. Hopefully, I mean, with our ambitious timeline already starting next year, let's see. And like starting with hubs around the world, if there are more people who want to join in this mission. And how we could do it is also over this course, because again, this course is part of a network as well, and bringing it to many different countries around the world. And yeah, I think with that, I'm gonna stop now for a second, and thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Kay. It has been an amazing presentation. I love how this what this organization is doing, and I believe it's absolutely important. In the world that we are living in, as you have mentioned, we have more and more conflicts each day, and a lot of time young people are feeling helpless of what to do. And I think it's so important the work that you're doing to give these young people as the ability to feel empowered and help in any way that we can reach. I think it has been absolutely amazing. I didn't know a lot about the Circle of Young Humanitarians, and I have loved this. Like, people in the chat are saying amazing work, as you can see. Thank you so much. So now we're going to be going ahead with some of the questions that I have for you. But before I do that, I would love to remind our fellows that there will be a Q&A session very, very soon. So if you have any questions to Kay, make sure to write them down in the chat. And after we finish, we will give you the opportunity to ask her your questions. So, Kay, I will go ahead and start with my questions then. So you are a co-founder, as you have mentioned, and president of the Circle of Young Humanitarians, a political neutral non-profit association based in Zurich that was established by students and young professionals in collaboration with the International Committee of the Red Cross in the spring of 2021. What was it like in the beginning? When you were only just starting the organization, did you encounter any challenge? If yes, what was the most difficult one? How was this process?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely a lot of challenges. So I think it's important to mention that when we started, it was again never the idea that this should become a big like organization where people are big. We're still very small for my own or from my view. Now it became big compared to in the beginning, of course. But yeah, we just thought we will do that next to our studies and as a volunteering opportunity, basically. So I mean, I really recognize this need of all right, I got to start differently. I was working for the International Committee of the Red Cross, as I mentioned, and I was in the fundraising team, which basically meant I was sitting in Geneva and talked to many humanitarian delegates who were sitting in different conflict zones around the world. And I found them very inspiring, and what they told me and what they told me about the people they met. And yeah, I told their stories again to my friends and to my surrounding. And I realized that so many people actually wanted to hear more and wanted to understand more and wanted to like get in touch with this whole world a lot more. And on this, in the same time, I also really felt this helplessness of so many young people. Again, like wanting to contribute somehow, but not really knowing how and where to start, especially if you're like already working a lot, if you're studying a lot, it would take too much time to go somewhere and so on. So I basically, really had this idea of creating a space where people could even join online to work next to their studies, next to their work, and pitched it to my supervisor at the ICRC. And yeah, I so much believe that sometimes there's this one person who needs to believe in you, like this one door opener. And she was so supportive. And like, she's also now our head of advisory board, Esther Schaufelberger. Like, I'm still so much, like, so thankful to her, because without her, this would have never like started, because she just believed in it. And like, so that was basically the like one of the first sparks. And then I realized, okay, I would have her support. And then I started to talk to friends about it, and well, just get their feedback if they think there is an interest in general, if they would like want to join, if we would ever organize something. And then actually 2 friends specifically were like so hooked on the idea, and they were like directly like going back and forth with me with the ideas, and like had other ideas and added on and so on. And yeah, that's how I knew, okay, those 2, like we gotta start this, the 3 of us. And then, yeah, like we started, and we basically were challenged again from the ICRC to show that there is an interest. And that's how we then started with the first online event, like not in person. It was anyways during COVID, so it was not even possible in person, and we also didn't have any money for that, and so on. So yeah, and I think one of the hardest parts for sure was building trust. I mean, now you can like show those pictures, you can share the after movies, and you have now people who believe in you, especially, having now the ICRC basically a bit in our back, like it gives a lot of credibility. But we really started from nothing. So like being persistent was really something that, being persistent and showing up and again and accepting the no's, like how many no's we got also, or declines, or like when we ask speakers if they want to come and speak for us, like like if you have like 5 speakers, there were maybe like 50 people first who said no. So so I think that also speaks for challenges. And yeah, of course, also building something and working with so many incredible people who sometimes also do not have the same opinion. So I think we all learned so incredibly much. I think that all comes always with challenges. I think if you're courageous enough to start something on your own, like it is not all easy going basically, but we were just driven by the mission, and that's what kept us going, I would say. I hope
Thank you
that
so
answered
much.
your question. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I believe that all of us feel relate to this as we are now working on our projects. And as you mentioned, building trust is something that is complicated, especially as young people. People don't really take you serious at first. So I love how we can see you as an example of something that have worked with passion and hard work, because that also inspires us to keep going with our projects and our ideas as young people. So thank you so much. I will go ahead with the next question. So the mission, as you mentioned, of the Circle of Young Humanitarians is to empower the next generation by building the bridge between humanitarian works and the next generation by raising awareness, creating a space of dialogue and understanding, and fostering a sense of agency to address global humanitarian challenges. So the question is, what are the best ways to foster leadership among students from your experience? What would you say they are?
I think I gotta share like one assumption that I have, and that is basically that everyone is a leader because you're a leader of your own actions. You are a leader in your own, like, we are all leaders in some settings and some of your own lives, basically. And I think that is basically going back to like the theory of change that I quickly like went through like very fast, basically. And that is basically that the leadership or begins with agency. If you believe that your own actions can inspire change, if you're empowered, yeah, then so much can happen. And I think, I mean, there's Jane Goodall. I think many of you know her. Like in her, there's so many quotes of her, or actually videos, where she basically also shares what her hope is. And one of her hopes is young people, because once they are empowered, there's no stopping them. Like they will try and try again and again until they like succeed, because they are so resilient. So yeah, I think that is like on a higher level, meta level, basically, regarding leadership. And then honestly, like within the circle, I think, or maybe connecting it to the circle, we see that because we have, of course, different positions and so on to basically coordinate and to be able to work in an organization of 70 people. And there are quite a few young people. I mean, like I think of one person, Margarita. She is 19 and she's now leading a team of 6 people. And it's just like so incredible, like how she's doing. So I mean, yeah, of course, this is in a voluntary setting, but like it's such an incredible way for her, she always says, to gain experience. So if you have the opportunity to sign up for something like that, that is definitely worth trying. Yeah, so I think those would be my answers.
Like of this, I would just highlight the phrase that you said, that everybody is a leader. I think that is an empowering phrase, and that we all feel related to that, and we're excited all to work on something to help the world on some way. And sometimes we don't really feel like we can or we are the leaders, but this, like, we are the leaders. So I will take that. I see that we have a raised hand of some of our fellows. Muhammad, um, I will give you the chance to ask your question. Um, I think you are muted. Yeah, there.
First of all, I'm really impressed by the work Kevin Murray has described as what she is doing. So my question is a bit off the grid, but related to your work. What are some effective ways to encounter or counter youth feelings of helplessness or disengagement when facing uh, the disengagement?
Thank you. Very, very good question. Yeah, I mean, like this is basically what we are trying to figure out, and what we believe in, basically, what is an effective way how to react to it is, I mean, maybe I can even put up this theory of change again, because I think that gives the best overview, because this is exactly what we try to or how we try to explain it and try to do it that way. And so far we have seen how it worked sometimes, but here we go. So effective ways, and I mean, how to react to helplessness and so on. So basically what we do with the Circle of Young Unitarians is to try to react to this disempowerment or helplessness of young people, right? And in my opinion, and like we looked into it also with some psychologists and psychiatrists and experts, like if that actually makes sense also from a psychological point of view. And yeah, they all agreed very much that like there's so many steps needed. And of course, like everybody is different. So like this is not a solution, like there's no solution or like that fits everyone. So this is a really abstract model which tries to approach exactly your question, right? So this helplessness is here, and here is the self-agency, where people actually believe that their own actions can inspire change, where they believe that they can contribute in some way. And basically here it is like it always like gets them closer to that. And what all of these steps basically say is, hey, first of all, out there are people who can inspire change. So this is about like awareness and understanding. And then if you actually meet those people and you see how they are actually also inspiring change, how they are changing things and contributing, then like that also like goes into a next level. And if you even like get to exchange with them, if you can like actually believe that you could do something in a similar way, that you could contribute to their mission or so, that's how this next step, this self-agency, could be unlocked as well. So those are these different steps, and here it is like really like from, you know, being aware, but like it's not the same level as really understanding. And here in all these steps, like the whole emotional aspect is also really important. If you just know it like by facts and so on, it's not strong enough. Like something within you has to change. So like it has to like be touched on an emotional level basically. And best case, like if you have similar values as the person that is speaking, then you're like, okay, yes, let's go, I can do that as well. So so that is like something, again, how we basically do it. I'm sure there are so many other ways as well, but this is basically, yeah, the if you ask me how what is our way of approaching that, then I think the theory of change gives an answer. I hope that is what you asked for.
Thank you so much, Muhammad, for your question. I think all of us can say that it was a really interesting one. I will continue to go ahead with our next one, and that could be for like you are currently piloting a new CEM's blog seminar at the University of St. Gallen titled Social Responsibility, Humanitarian Principles in the Corporate Context. The course, as you have mentioned, aims to bring together two spheres that rarely interact, the humanitarian world and the corporate world. What goal are you pursuing with this course, and how is it going so far?
Yeah, thank you. I'm to address the first part. The goal is really to, again, make this humanitarian world relevant for many different other disciplines, in that case for the business world. So we really like, yeah, I'm really happy about this course, because I mean, I studied at this university, and like it is a business university, and we didn't have any, I mean, especially in this master's program that I did, there were no courses on anything related to humanitarian work. And this course really tries to show how knowing more about it is relevant also for business leaders of tomorrow. So it asks, like, we bring in simulations, for example, there's a simulation they put where we put the students into the shoes of a CEO, where the CEO has like business operations all around the world, and then in a business operation somewhere, like a war breaks out, and what do you do and how do you react? And so like in a globalized world, all this is very relevant. So this is one aspect. And also like, how can you from a business also contribute in today's world where, yeah, I mean, there were like a lot of budget cuts for the whole humanitarian world from all around the world. So what is the corporate's responsibility? Should they step up? What do they have to be careful of? And so on. So it's really about starting this conversation between the business and humanitarian. And yeah, that is like super, super interesting so far. And And yeah, like then the next block is coming up soon. So I think it's going good so far. I'm super excited about that. Yeah.
Well, I am a business student myself, so I'm also love this part of humanitarian aid, international relations, and a lot of time we don't have the chance to be on that, or we think that we don't because we are just business student. So I think that is really interesting, and I will take a look at this course absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think a lot of us, business student or even not business student, will take a look to it. So thank you. I will go then for our next question. As you have mentioned too, you have partnered with the International Committee of the Red Cross for the circle of young humanitarians when you were a student. So how can young people manage and leverage partnership with established organizations? And what are the best ways to approach them?
I love that question. So I think I hinted towards it before already when I said that as a first step, sometimes there is like one person you need, like, who believes in you, who believes in the mission. So I think that was definitely one of the first steps for us with our journey for the Circle of Young Humanitarians, like having now specifically in our case, my supervisor who believed in that from the beginning and who basically functioned as a door opener. So yeah, I think also like really established organizations, which can be like so big and far and so on. Like sometimes like I find it so much easier if you like think of it as the like people behind it and trying to like get them in instead of this whole huge thing. Like that's how it worked for us in a first step. However, like I mean, like gaining this one person like logged in, of course, wasn't enough. So I think it's really important to really do your homework, like really know the institution's mission and goals. And what we basically did with the circle was not that we asked them for like visibility or funding or so. We basically really thought of how do our missions, like if we think the circle would like actually exist, how do we align and how can we help each other? So really making it a common goal, a common mission basically. And yeah, from that then really try to like continue and get the trust and really start small and deliver and communicate. And of course, don't underestimate humility. Like we were so thankful like still we still are, and we're so thankful for their time. And and I think maybe one last point is the persistence. So I think that is very true also. I mean, it is not necessarily, that wasn't with the ICRC, but it could have been. One example I thought of, or I'm thinking of, is there is like one person I admired for a long time, and today he is a mentor. Like he is really like supporting us like so much. And like I was at every public speech where he was, like I basically like traveled behind, like after him, and always had like a letter ready, like handwritten letter, and gave it into his hands. And he didn't like, he read it, but then like he didn't respond. So like that happened, I think 3 or 4 times. And after the 4th, he was like, okay, all right, let's go for coffee. And ever since, he has become a mentor, and now he also likes us. So I think like that gives like a good example of how persistence, of course, like you shouldn't over or exaggerate, but we always knew like he was hooked somehow, but he just didn't have any time. So yeah, I think that is also like a really valuable lesson. If you like have the endurance to stay on it, like that will pay off. Like in the end, it is about how much time, if you're still there, and not who was there in the beginning, but rather who has
As you have said, sometimes persistence and hard work pay off. So I will go ahead with a last question that we have from the chat. That could be, what was your small win with the circle of young humanitarians that make you realize that you are changing the world?
Ooh. Wow, that's a good one.
Easy one.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if we are changing the world. That of course is the goal. I would not take myself or us too serious to say we are changing the world, but we are contributing like a little step, a little piece to it, hopefully, as much as we can do, hopefully. And yeah, probably the feedbacks that one gets after an event, like hearing those different stories that I also showed. Honestly, like getting a feedback from someone like Zoya, I mean, to make it like brutal for you, like Zoya, who spoke, I think, in this event series as well, or this lecture series, and she really told us that she has arrived in Switzerland. So for the ones who did not meet her before, she's half Palestinian, half Ukrainian, and has an absolutely incredible story and is like such an inspiring person. And she said that since she was in Switzerland, like the first time she really felt so much hope to like actually make this her new home was being at the Circle of Young Unitarians and meeting us and so on. So I think this was really like, whoa, okay. This is big. Yeah, so that is one of the first things that would come to mind. I'm sure after we hang up, a lot more comes to mind. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for answering that question. I think that all the stories that you showed before in your presentation were amazing. So this is just one of them. So I'm sure that you are changing the world more than you realize. And I will just let you go with your last remarks. And how can the fellows stay in touch with you, or how can young leaders get involved with your work? That would be amazing for them to know and for us to know.
Yes, please. I actually have prepared a, 1 second. I actually have prepared one slide. Nope, sorry, that was the wrong one. Can you, I have a few QR codes for LinkedIn and so on, and I'm going to type you my email address as well in a second into our chat, if that is all right. And I would love for you to reach out. That would be incredible. And yeah, thank you again so much also to the United Nations Academic Impact Network. And such an incredible initiative. Can you see it like that?
Yeah, we can all see it. So amazing. We can let them for a few seconds get a picture or whatever of the QRs.
Perfect.
If you have any last remarks in the meantime, we would love to hear them.
Well, I think I would just like to thank you all for your time, and I think I don't know if that was me drawing on. Yeah, I think it is very much aligned with or the Millennium Fellowship is very much aligned with what we're trying to reach with the Circle of Young Unitarians. So I can just encourage you to continuing leading with humanity, empathy, inclusion, and humility, as you're already doing. So congrats to all of you being part of this, and hopefully seeing some of you at the summit or somewhere. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Kay. It was a really informative session, and we have loved to have you here. Also, thank you so much for the Millennium Fellows for joining. Before we end, I would like to remind the fellows of the upcoming global webinar with Angela Safer on November 11 at 9 a.m. ET. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.